Instincts of a Savior, the condensed ending. Note, this is a condensed ending of a 125-page book I've written. Because of this, I tried to keep the detail while dropping some things. The context is that a 75-foot dire wolf named Wulfric adopts a girl called Lupa and raises her until she lets him go herself whenever she's 22. Okay. Wulfric rushed through the thick forest, his fur catching every loose limb and leaf. He could tell where he was headed. However, he did the best he could to ignore it, working with every fiber in his body to focus on the hunt. He should, by default, be more focused on food than he was on her. She was perfectly fine, and he had to accept that. Suddenly, however, he felt his paw slip out from under him, making him realize where he was. The sweet scent of the cow oak was long gone, and he had fallen instead into a very familiar place. It was a place he hadn't seen in many years, to be specific 75. It was, in fact, where their journey had started and ended. It was where his views had changed and converted back to their original state. To him, it was a warm and familiar place that only existed for them and them alone. As he softly treaded through the large clearing, light memories began to flood back into his mind. Every moment was so clear, every fall, every laugh, and every cry. It was all just so clear to him. Her face then flooded back to him, and he could smell her scent in abundance, forcing him to wonder just where she was. All of the emotions slammed into him like a rock, his heart locking onto her in her presence. He had protected her for so long. He had accepted her as a person, accepted the man that he guessed she would marry, and with that had also accepted the fact that he had to let her go without saying a single word to her. And yet, he couldn't accept the fact that she would also have to let go, whether it be sooner or later. Panic suddenly began to grow in Wulfric's stomach, however, as the sight of her was, well, nowhere. And then it hit him. It hit him like 500 flaming arrows jamming into his heart all at once. No, it wasn't possible. He wouldn't allow it. He refused to allow humans to be humans and die unlike him. He wouldn't allow that. Not for her. She was special. He didn't care how much he honestly hated humanity and how much they had taken. She did not deserve that. He rushed toward the tree and could feel her scent take over him. All of her thoughts began to take over his mind. Every memory switched to her perspective, flashing by like flickering lightning bugs in the inky night sky. Distinct, yet faint. She had died of a painful disease at the age of 62, and it had killed her from the mind down. No, why that? Of all of the disgusting people on this pathetic earth, why? Why did she have to be the only one to die like that, broken and in pain? Pain that no being on this planet could even begin to fathom. All Wulfric could do was collapse where he was and slam his head against a single tree that had meant so much leading up to this very moment. The same tree that was once thriving and healthy, but was now close to death. His only guess was that it was dying along with him. Except direwolves, especially colossal ones like him, they took a long time to die. But his immortality was a punishment, a heavy burden for his shoulders to carry. So, Wulfric decided to use that to his advantage. He made a promise that was not only to him, but to her as well. He would sit and guard her unmarked grave for the rest of eternity, treating her as if she were alive. So, that's exactly what he did. He used his curse of immortality as an excuse to starve and dehydrate himself. Alongside it, he ignored all of the hurt and heartache, using that as fuel. When it rained, Wulfric would stand over her, using his body as a somewhat umbrella, guarding her from the cold of the rain. When it snowed, he would curl into a ball over her in an attempt to keep her warm. He also had to fight off many humans. Some of them wanted to capture him, others wanting to claim the clearing as a part of their property. With humans came animals. Most of them were wolves or dire wolves looking for territory. On rare occasions, it'd be an elk herd, and he'd be able to grab the weakest female. Wolfric did this for nearly 10 years, almost every year seeming new to him, even though he was just guarding a, by now, decomposed corpse. However, he felt like it was special, like a special job for him, almost as if her spirit was waiting for him in that spot and found comfort in him being there. The very thought gave him comfort. The thought that he wasn't being completely insane and mindless. Maybe he was, though. It wouldn't shock him, to be honest, if he really was insane. He always thought he was. One day, however, it was the first day Wolfric had gone out for food in 5 months, and the hunt had failed. He had gashes on his shoulders, a ripped and bleeding ear, a broken tail, and his entire body was covered in clotted blood. However, his injuries didn't scare him. A part of his immortality was being able to feel pain but still live. Wolfric collapsed into the clearing, his body shaking, the dry ground in his body tattered. His body had had it. He wasn't allowed to die, but he honestly felt like he might. He dragged himself to her unmarked grave and placed one last glance to the tree. One single leaf finally breaking off and drifting down with the wind. He could feel life slipping from him as a familiar voice echoed in his head. Wolfric! Wolfric, you're almost there! You learned to let go. You learned to let go, and that's allowing you to pass on. Come on, you're almost there. It's almost over, Wolfric, I promise. Her voice. She was waiting. As the leaf grew closer to the ground, Wolfric drew in a breath. This would be the first and last words he would ever speak. The leaf finally hit the ground in front of him. I'm sorry, Lupa. I tried. And with that, he was gone.